Hello everyone and welcome to another Affinity Designer tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to make your very own watch, and I'm going to use my example of the design I made on the Omega Seamaster 300. I'm going to show you how to make it detailed like this one is, and I'm going to show you how to make a simple version also, and you can build upon that to make your very own design. Let's zoom in so you can see it in close-up. So you can see how I've made it. I'll be including tutorials to show you how to make each part of this watch in simple terms and more detailed. Okay, let's get to it. First things first, let's make a watch face and the minute markers inside it. So I have a blank document here, and the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you're on the Move tool, you've clicked that, and we're going to want two rulers so that we can identify the center of this document. So I'm going to click from up here on the ruler side, and I'm going to drag down. Okay, so when you get to the middle, you'll see it lights up red. This is to show that you're in the center of the document going horizontally. We're going to do the same again here for the vertical. So click, drag, and there we go, green. That's to show the vertical center. Okay, so now that we've got that, we're going to draw the watch face. So we're going to head over to the ellipse tool. We're going to click, and I'm going to choose, you can see here when I've clicked, it shows me the options for fill and stroke. We're just going to choose a color, any color you want. I'm going to go for purple. Why not? Okay, I don't want any stroke on this one. So now we're going to go to the center, and you can see I've hovered over the center and both are aligned, which means I'm in the center of the document. I'm going to keep my finger on Command and Shift on a Mac. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag outwards. This is to maintain the circular qualities so it doesn't turn up ending like an egg shape. Okay, that looks cool. I'm just going to make this a little bit lighter. There. Okay, that's our watch face. So the next thing we're going to want to do is make the minute markers. So we're going to go over here. I'm going to choose the rectangle tool. You can make it any way you want, but this is just for showing you how I'm going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to click, I'm going to drag, maybe about this much. Okay, now I'm going to want to change it into white. Click on the Move tool and go and move it to the center. You can see it's been centered with the green vertical line. Now I'm going to have it about here. So I'll just go out. Yeah, that looks okay. Okay, so the next thing we're going to want to do is make these minute markers go around the watch in a circular motion. So I'm going to go up to here to show rotation center. You're going to click on that. Mine's already pressed in, so I don't need to do that. We zoom out a little bit so we can see the center. And there is the thing we want right in the center. See that? It looks just like this. That's the rotation center. We're going to change that to the center of our document. So I'm going to click and drag. I'll drag it to the center. Both are highlighted. That means it's in the center. Let go. Okay, now that we've done that, we have to figure out how we're going to get these minute markers all the way around like they would in a watch. So I'm going to press Command J, and that's going to copy that minute marker that we've made at the 12 o'clock position. Next thing we're going to want to do is go over here, and we're going to make sure we're on top because this is going to rotate this minute marker around the center. So click and drag. Now we need 60 of these, So it's going to be, as a 60 minutes in an hour, we're going to make it 10 degrees. There we go, and let go. The next thing you're going to want to do is press Command J. That's going to power duplicate the minute markers throughout the watch. So I'll zoom out so you can see. Okay, so Command J has made another one, and you can see that it's left the exact same gap between it and seems to be going around the center of the watch face. Okay, so I'm just going to keep pressing Command J until it's gone all the way around the watch. There we go. There's 60-minute markers. The next thing we're going to want to do is include the hour markers, and I'm going to make them triangular. So we're going to go over here and click on the triangle tool, and I've got my fill set to yellow, and I'm just going to drag just by eye something like that, and I'm going to turn it around. If you hold the shift key, you can drag them in increments like that, or you can do it freehand like this. I always hold the shift key so it's 180 degrees straight down. Okay, so click on the move tool, drag your triangle down. Let's go a little bit closer. Drag it down and stick it in the middle where it goes green. There we go. Okay, there you go, it's all lined up. So just like the second markers, we're going to want to change the rotation center of this object so it matches the full watch. So click on it, and there you can see it. I will drag that down into the center. There you go, they're all lined up. So now when I move this, just like I did with the second hands, I can move it and it's going to be going around this center point. So you can click on this bit here, hold down shift and click, and you can just drag like this all the way around. But before we do that, we're going to want to press Command J for power duplicate, and I'm going to move this to the first hour marker. So right now it's on 12 o'clock. I'm going to hold shift, click and drag. Okay, so this position here, 150 degrees, will be 1 o'clock. And I'm just going to power duplicate after I do this. So I'm going to let go. Okay, and now that I've done this action, I can now just press Command J and it will duplicate the action I've just done. Here we go. There we go. That's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. Terrible jokes. Okay, continuing on. There you go. Okay, so that's all around. Some watches have different lengths on the different hour markers. Sometimes the 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 and 9 are a bit longer, and the ones in between are a bit shorter. But I'm just showing you how to do it. The basics, I suppose. Okay, so that's the hour markers in there, looking like a strange watch here. Okay, so if we look at the watch I made previously, you can see that the hour marker here is shorter and then it goes longer, short. So they've done it like that, but it's up to you what shape you make. You can make it very different and wacky depending on your preference. Another way of placing the hour markers, and it is like this. So you've drawn your shape and you don't play around with the center rotation, so just make sure that's not selected. And we'll zoom out a little bit. So you want to duplicate this, so I'll just show you the way. Command C, Command V, that's duplicated it. You can see in the layers panel. There are other ways to do this as well, like Command J, which leads to a power duplicate. Anyway, so you've duplicated that. You want to go up here and press this button, flip vertical. And you want to drag that down whilst holding shift so it doesn't veer off course. I'll just place it there. And now you've got both of them in your layers panel. You want to press Shift and click on the lower one so it selects all of them. And now we'll duplicate these. So Command C, Command V, and here we go. They're both duplicated. So we're gonna make sure two of these are highlighted, and we're going to keep our finger on Shift again. We're going to click, and we're going to drag. So you can see, there we go. I've got the basic ones there. I'll duplicate that as I showed you before, and there we go. Okay, that's all that hour mark has done, but I prefer the other way. Anyway, so the next thing on the agenda is to add the second hand, the minute hand, and the hour hand. Now I've just drawn some really simple boxes here, just using the rectangle tool, like that. It's that simple. So we're going to start adding these to the middle. So if you make a box similar to this, or design it however you wish, we'll select the hour hand, and let's drag it down here to the middle so we can offer it up. The hour hand about here, I'll put it about here, well, put it about there. Now we're going to want to select the show rotation center, and we can see it's there, but in reality on a watch everything surrounds the center. So we're going to move this over to here. There we go, so it's in the center now. And now when I move this second hand, sorry, the hour hand, it will move like a watch would, the mechanics of a watch. Okay, so you can place this anywhere you wish. I'll put it here, why not? Okay, and you do that with each of the hands. We're going to use the minute hand next. Put that down here, and I'll make sure that I'm going to drag the minute hand above the hour hand, because the hour hand is always on the bottom in watches, or in most cases I find at least. I'm going to get it around here. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to go up and show rotation center, which is there anyway. And I'm just going to drag that to the center. And same thing again as the minutes go by. I will just put that here. Okay, and the last one, just grab that, chuck it down here. I'll make sure the second hand is on top as well, so I'm going to drag the layer on top. There you go. And show rotation center is on. There it is. Let's drag it to the middle again. And here we have it. Should probably change that because the hour marker is yellow. So just so you can see it a little bit clearer. So you can see the seconds go around. This is the simple way of doing it, and you can set the time to however you wish, and it's easier to move if you did want to select a certain time when you design the watch. And that's it for the hands. I've made the watch face. We're going to make the main part of the watch, the bezel and teeth. Now I'll refer back to my design. You can see here, this is the bit I'm referring to. You can see the teeth, they're not jagged, they're rounded, and it's going across the whole watch. So we're going to make that one now. Let's refer back to the tutorial page. You're going to want to go on the left hand side and select the cog tool. If it isn't already selected, just keep your finger selected on it and these options will appear. Cog tool is in this location right here. So now I've selected it, I'll go to the center of the image. I'll click and drag out. Remember, keep your finger on Shift and Command on a Mac, and it will center it and keep it in proportion. So I'm just going to make it about this big. So you can see I've made it black here. If you want to change the color, you can do so here. And we have a few options here. So first of all, we don't want a center. So I'm going to click and drag that to the middle so we have no hole. And up here you can see this is where you can change it in percentages. So that's at 0, that's done. Okay, if we go down here, you can see there's other options. If I go, we don't want it this deep, so we're going to put it up here maybe. And we have these other options too. You can make it bigger and smaller. Now play around with this until you get what you desire. And you might want to as well go up to the teeth option. Now on the watch I've made, there's lots of teeth, so let's see how far this goes. So it's at 12 teeth at the moment, each of these humps being a tooth. And we're going to whack it all the way up to maximum. And that's 48 teeth, and it doesn't look like enough for what we want. What you can do is you can double click and you can type in the desired number. So I'll just put in a desired, maybe 150, I'm not sure. There we go, that's looking a little bit better. Let's zoom in and play around with these settings. So I'm going to bring it up a bit and push this in. Yeah, that's looking a little bit better. I still think we need more teeth. Let's see. No, we don't want to do that. Well, you could do if you wanted to. I'm going to keep mine straight. And there we go. That's looking a little better. If you want more, you can do more. So now that we have the teeth, they're very jagged, we can see. Straight lines. If we want to change that, you do this. So move up to the move tool. And then what we want to do now that we've got our shape is press convert to curves. So we'll click on that and notice how you no longer have these options that you had before about changing the teeth. Okay, so now we're going to go up here and we're going to select the corner tool. So select that and you can see all these little selections. We're going to want to select everything here. So I'm going to click from here and drag across. Now that I've selected them all, I'm going to zoom in and we're going to drag on these corners to try and make them a little bit rounded. You see how that's happening? So that's way better for me. Okay, and click on the move tool again and you can see very nice and smooth. So that's one way that you can do that. So I've just placed it behind the watch face we made previously, and I'm going to select the main cog and I'm going to change the color just so it looks less weird being black. I mean, this watch I've made here is pretty wacky anyway, but I'm just going to go for something a little bit. Let's just make it grey for now. Okay, so let's refer back to the watch I made previously. We have our bezel here, and what we want to make now is this section here. It's kind of like a halo, and I'm going to show you how to do that in Affinity Designer right now. Okay, so we'll go back to where we've got the cog tool, and you're going to long press. We'll go down to the donut tool. There we go, we've selected the donut. Okay, so we're going to make this donut. As you can see, I'm just doing it freehand right now. If I hold down Command and Shift, it's going to stay in proportion. I'll make it about here for now. Let's change the color of it. Head up here to Fill. We'll just make it completely white. Okay, so I'll go to the center, and I've placed it in the center. You can see the lines, green and red. And if we go, let's deselect the watch face so we can see what we're doing. Okay, excellent. Okay, so we've selected the donut now, and At the moment I'm on Node tool. You can do it on Node tool or go back on the donut tool. And you can see there's one option for us here, and that is to make the hole larger. There we go. I'll just place it around here. Select the face again so we can see where it stands. I'm happy with it staying there, but I might make it a little bit bigger. There. And I'll drag this in a little bit more. Just like the one I've done, that is how the basics of how you make that bezel, that halo. Let's refer back to the design I did earlier and see what else is on the bezel. So you've got numbers and some indices in certain locations. And what we're going to do now is we're going to make those within our one. So let's go back. We want to stick the numbers here like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We want to stick them in here. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select the ellipse tool and I'm going to go to the center of the image. I'm going to click and drag out whilst keeping my finger on Shift and Command. You can see what happens. Okay, so we're going to make it go to kind of there. I've got a stroke on this just so it's a little bit more visible to see where I'm typing, and I have no fill and it's on the top layer so I can see it. Okay, so we're going to want to select the artistic text tool now. So select that, and if you hover around you can see a letter with the T. If I select there, that means I will start typing around this shape, this circular shape. So this is where we're going to start off, this green one, and this red one down here is where the text will end. I'm just going to drag this, click and drag that right up here. So I'm going to, what was the first one? It was 10, wasn't it? Let's just type 10. And there it is. On the original, it was around this marker here. So we're going to go and do that. If I just drag that around about here. I'm going to show you this way of doing it. There's a number of other ways as well, which I'll get into later, but this is one way I found quite useful if I don't have to be so precise. But I'm just gonna be pressing on the space key until we get to the next destination where it was. So the 20 would be around this marker here. So I'll press 20 here now. And you can see it's not quite in the center of that triangle, so I'm just going to go here and press delete. Delete, yeah, there we go. Around about here, that will do. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to copy this blank space in between, and I'm going to press Command C, and I'm going to go to the end of the 20 and just click there, so we can start typing again. But instead of pressing space, I'm just going to press Command V, and it's going to go straight down here. So it's copied that blank space. The next one was 30. If it's off a little bit, you can just go to the other side, press the space key, and there you have it, 30. And I'm just going to do the same again now. So I click that, paste. It's a bit off. You can just add another one, and I'll just keep doing that till I get around to the next. So 50. Okay, so we have all the numbers there now. If you wanted to move them slightly all together, you can press this, click and drag on this this green marker, and if you wanted it underneath this line, then you could just play around with this other red one and it will make them go inside, as you can see there. But we're going to keep it like this. Okay, let's go back to the other design. So there's some indices in there as well. We can use the same technique we used on the second and hour markers to include these. Or you can just simply create a rectangle and put it in wherever you wish. If you're doing your own design, it's completely up to you. We're going to go ahead and do that now, exactly the same as we did before. I'm going to head over here to the rectangle tool, and I'm just going to draw something like that. I'm going to change the color of it. I pressed stroke none. I'll just press black. Probably make it a little bit shorter. And I'm going to click and drag this to the center. You can see we need it a lot smaller. There we go, let's just put big fat ones. There we go, it's in the middle now. And again, we want to center this around the rotation center. So we're going to change that from the object to the center of the watch. So I'm going to zoom out and click and drag. I'm dragging the center of it now to the center there and let go. Okay, now I'll refer back to the watch to see where they were going. Okay, so one here, one here. So basically in between each of the numbers. We're going to want to move this to the first location. So it was around here. And we're just going to keep doing this. I'm doing this by eye at the moment, but you can line them up yourself with this, or use the command duplicate option I showed you before. And there we go, all the markers are in there now. Remind you all about nesting and nesting objects within each other. It keeps things tidy, clean and professional. I've mentioned it in previous videos, but I just want to mention it again here in case you haven't seen them. So we have our bezel halo here, and I want to make sure that the indices and the letters are all contained within here. So if I should move that halo, the rest of the objects within it will also move. If we select all of the things we've just made, down here in the layers panel, you can see they're all our indices selected. And this is our numbers. So I've selected all these. And now you can see where the donut is here. That's our bezel halo. Just click on all of these that you've selected and drag them down. And what you want to do is drag them down and slightly right. And now all of those objects are now within this one. So if I were to move it, they all move together as one piece. I suggest doing this for each time you make a new object, like this main watch face, that you do the same with that. So everything inside this purple circle watch face is kept within it, including the seconds. This is what I do to keep things a little less confusing in the layers panel, as you can see here. Once you're done with everything, you can package them up nicely. So once all the internal parts are done, you could package these two into our outside cog, this grey one here. So you could just drag it in there so everything is in one package. But for now, I'll leave them out so you can see what we're doing as we work. I'm going to include the pipette on the watch, which is the circular object here. If we refer back to the watch, this thing is what I refer to as the pipette, and it dictates that that's 12 o'clock. That's at the top of the diver's watch. Let's head back. Now I'm only going to show you the simple way I did it here, and later on I'm going to show you how you can advance and create and manipulate the shape we've already made. Let's go ahead and do that, and we're going to be using the halo tool again. You go over here, select the halo tool. I'm just going to draw it about here. So I'm using the Shift and Command tool on the Mac to keep it in proportion. I'm going to click it and I'm going to drag it down. Oops. or you can see sometimes, if you've still got that rotation center selected, you unselect it or deselect it, and then you can drag it down without it moving that. So let's make it a little bit smaller. And if we head back to the donut tool, you can see you can play around with these options. I'm going to keep it about here, and I'm also going to make another circle underneath, because on our one it is a different color here. So I'm going to go to the center of that object, I'm going to click and Command and Shift. It's going to make a perfect circle. I'm just going to do it over the circle a little bit there. I'm going to change, you can see in the layers panel here, I want the circle to be underneath the donut or the halo. I'll change the color of the halo a little bit here to grey, so you can see that's underneath. And I'll change this to orange, a bit like we had on the watch I made previously. So that's the simple way of doing it. Join me later to see how we can make it more three-dimensional and give it shades and contrast to make it look a little bit more realistic. Let's add some numbers in. If we refer back to my watch here, you can see is a 12 o'clock, 3, 6 and 9. Let's put those in. Here you can see the watch face, and I've got all these shapes within. But this green one here is the seconds hand. Now it's kind of in the way if I wanted to place that 12 there, and you might not be able to see it. The reason I've told you before to choose the rotation center for the middle of the watch is so that when you get to this stage, if you wanted to move it later on, you can. And you can in the style that the watch would move it. So you can see here, I can just move it out the way, and I don't have to think about whether it's in the center. So this is a good reason why to move the rotation center. Let's just move it out the way a little bit here. Let's add in that number. So I'm going to go ahead and click around here, and I'll put 12. Now if you want to change the font, your options are up here, and you can go to these options around here and choose to manipulate it however you wish. But for now, let's just leave it on Arial Black. I'm going to place this in the center there, around about here. For the next one, which is 3 o'clock, we're going to move it down here. You can do this by eye if you wish, like I am. So you can just Command C, Command V to copy that, move it down here. You can see it's lined up, and we'll just change that. I've double clicked it so I can change the text. So I can just put 3 here. Click on the Move tool again and move it about here. If you did want to make sure they're lining up a little bit more in a circle, you can go over here, Ellipse tool, go to the center, and click Shift and Command, and so it's a perfect circle, and move it around here. Now I'd usually go up, change the stroke to black, and fill none. So now you can see you've got somewhere to offer these numbers up to. I can move this a little bit more so it's more in keeping with the 12 up here. And then after you've included these, you can delete this ellipsed circle we've made. I'm just going to go ahead and include the rest of the numbers. So I've got 3 selected, I'm going to copy, we'll just keep doing that. Okay, so that's done. Let's delete that ellipse tool to get it out of the way, and you can see they are there, just like in the design here. Moving on, we're going to make the strap of the watch and the base and the lugs. So let's refer back to the design, and you can see here these 4 pieces here that are holding the main watch, and Then you've got a couple of straps here. Let me show you how I made those. So you can make them freehand if you wish. So we need 4 of them, so I'm going to do this freehand so I can show you how easy it is to manipulate shapes that you make on this watch. Okay, there. I've made this. I'm going to change it so there's no stroke, and I'm going to make it, let's just make it, let's make it that kind of color, almost black. I'm going to drag this underneath, so I'm going to drag it on the layers panel to the bottom, so it's underneath everything else. Now, I want to make these corners smooth, so I'm going to go and hit the corner tool, select both of these, and then you can see now when I hover over, there's a little line. All you have to do is click and drag, and you can see the sharp corners turn around it. So you can either do both, or just select one of them like that, so that's a little bit more rounded, and this, if you wish, just slightly less rounded. So now that I've made that, I'm going to go and copy them on each side of the watch. I'm going to press Command C, Command V. You can also press Command J if you want to go into Power Duplicate. Command C and Command V, and then we're going to flip this around. So go up to here, flip horizontal. You can see that's flipped it the other way around. And now I'm going to click and I'm going to hold Shift so that it doesn't go off course. You can see the yellow line dictating where it's going to go, and it's not veering off anywhere. Okay, so we're going to have it around here. Now, when you move objects within Affinity Designer, sometimes it lines up with other objects in the design. And this can be really useful because you know that they are the same distance apart from other objects. So you can see the pipette with the orange center. It's the exact same distance from both. So I'm going to leave it here. I'll let go. There we go. Now I'm going to duplicate these, and so I'm going to go and select both of these in the layers panel. I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to flip these vertically. Press on this one here, and then go down. Okay, so that's about right there. Now, just to make sure everything is in the center, I'm going to select all of these. So all of these down here in the layers panel. I'm just going to, there we go. So I can tell it's centered vertically and horizontally. There we go. So the same all round. So now for the watch strap. I don't know what kind of watch strap you'd like, but on my design I did a metal strap, as that's how the Omega Seamaster was made. I was trying to replicate it in Affinity Designer. I've done that. So initially, if you want to know where to place each of these squares, because that's all they are, they're just shapes and they've been manipulated, you can create something that you want them to fit all in, so you know everything's going to be lined up nicely. I can go ahead here to the rectangle tool, and I'm just going to line up with this lug here. I'm going to click and drag. You can see it's lined up with the other side. Just click and drag, and I'll leave it about here. I'll make these edges a bit round as well, so again, corner tool, select both of them. So they're both going to be the same, have the same amount of roundness, and there we go. I'll change the color as well. Let's make it a funky one. There it is, and I want the same thing to be on the bottom, so I'll just duplicate that. So I've shown you before. I will press the flip vertical, which is flip vertical now, and I will just drag it down with my finger on shift. So you can see that it's the same distance apart now from other objects within the design. And I let go, and there we have it. That is an atrocious color, so let's change that. Go ahead to fill, and let's just make it grey for now. Really dark grey. But I can see here that it's on the wrong layer. It's going over the teeth here. So if I head down here, I can see there it is. There's the teeth. So I'll just drag it underneath that. There we go. Now it's looking better. This one is already in place. If I want to change it to the same color, or if you want them to be different colors, it's up to you. But I'll just select that. If I want this object to be the same as the gray object up here, I can simply select the bottom one, go up to fill, and you can drag this dropper tool, and if you click and keep your finger on it, so it can measure the color from this strap, which I'll do, and let go, and now you can see this has changed. All I have to do is click once on here, and the bottom one will change, so they're equal colors. Both of them are exactly the same. In my watch, I didn't have just one big flat strap. There were links in the strap. You can see that it was good. It wasn't just a straight line going up, it's kind of going at an angle. You can also change that yourself, and then place the boxes within it. But when I did my design, I was kind of tracing around it in a shape like that, so I could put all the other links within that, so I could nest it within that. So I kind of had a strap like this, and I just go ahead and say this would be one link. I'll change the color so we can see that a bit better. That would be one link, and I'd sort of line it up. Or if the strap was going in a little bit like that, I'd make the changes to it. I could press convert to curves, so I can manipulate them a little bit more. Like I can select these and make them go in, and then play around with the pen tool and the node tool to try and get it exactly how that watch was. So that's up to you what angle you'd like the watch to appear at. So if it was like that a little bit more, let me try and do the same thing to the other side. So it looks like the strap's going into the distance and getting smaller. But let me just go back. So yeah, the links are basically just a bunch of rectangles, and they've been manipulated. So that would be one, and that would be another, and you can duplicate them down, or depending on if it's in the foreground or the background, make them smaller. And then once you're done with that, well, once I was done with that, I would get rid of the background and include more shapes so it looks like a real watch. Okay, let me press back from that. There we go. I'll show you at the end how I've made each link look metallic. Same with the lugs, same with the bezel and all the other components within here. So it's a lot easier to understand.